What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the show. Marc Farzy with you here on the Farzy Show, presented by Destination Retirement, destinationretirement.com from the Steven Singer Studios. Welcome in to everyone. Hope you had just a lovely day, and welcome into this fine day. When we talk about Donovan Mitchell later today, I know I've talked a lot about Bradley Beal. I know I've talked a lot about Zach LaVine, as those names kind of got floated around in trade rumors, and Tyrese Maxey's name has been tied to those rumors as well. Today is an interesting day because Donovan Mitchell has gone from, oh, no, we're not trading him, or the Jazz at least have been from, we're not trading him, we're not moving on from him, we're not going to, to all of a sudden saying, maybe we'll trade him. It's a very interesting scenario that we'll break down. Also, I believe I've started many shows like this, and I'll start this show off at show with it as well. Jarvis Familia, what is it you say you do here? Phillies now looking up at the St. Louis Cardinals, who won yesterday, so now they have the final wild card spot in the National League. So that's fun. What a happy day for everyone. We'll get into that conversation. And then the Philadelphia Flyers. What are you doing exactly? Mike Sielski joins the show, everybody's favorite. And looking at the chat, Dan Schwartz, congratulations. You're back in the chat. Nice to have you. Welcome back. Mike Sielski is here for you. I am at a crossroads as a Flyers fan, ladies and gentlemen. I really want this team to be relevant again. That's the word I've used a lot when we had our Nasty Knuckles friends on a couple weeks ago. That was the word I was using. That's the word I've been using. I want them to be relevant. And I feel like John Tortorella helps this team be relevant because John Tortorella is going to get coverage at least. Now, will that coverage just be him yelling and screaming on a bench? Or will that coverage be, wow, he's really turning around this Flyers organization? That remains to be seen. It will help the issue if he gets better players here. And as much as I would love to say Johnny Gaudreau needs to be a Philadelphia Flyer, and as much as if he does sign here because he told the Flames flat out, it's over. Family decision. I'm moving on. If Johnny Gaudreau does in fact sign here, I will be excited that the Flyers will have a great player, and I will be disappointed that the Flyers pretty much will not be able to make any other move. And Mike Sielski will help me discover what the hell the Flyers are doing. And I ask him that question point blank. What the hell are the Flyers doing? When you talk about Tony DeAngelo and trading picks for him, but not trading picks for DeBrincat, for instance, a younger guy who can help you for years to come, another guy that would also demand a lot of money going forward, it just doesn't make any sense to me. And DeAngelo, not exactly a choir boy, for instance, bringing him in and then buying out Oskar Lindblom, placing him on waivers in the hope to alleviate themselves some cap space. A fan favorite, a guy who's also a good hockey player that people forget about. It's not exactly a great offseason for the Flyers. Yes, do I think they brought in a bench boss that will help lead them back over the years to significance, to relevance? Yeah, I think they have in John Tortorella. But a lot more work has to be done on the ice as well and in the front office. One of the things I took away from the trades that they did make, especially not going out there getting to break it, and hearing from Chuck Fletcher about rebuilds and retooling and all that stuff, just makes me think that the Flyers are more invested in Chuck Fletcher than they are in actual rebuild and doing a good job with that rebuild, because I don't believe the Flyers are in a rebuild mode. I don't think that if you have one good player, at least one good player that you really believe in, for instance, a guy like Carter Hart, I don't think that means that you just need to retool a little bit and then we'll be back to significance and relevance. No, you need a hell of a lot more than that. Johnny Gaudreau would obviously be another great name to put on this team. He's a great talent. I'm not denying that. But at 29 years old, by the time the season starts, that's a bit of an issue. If you're going to be investing, $9 million, $10 million a year in Johnny Gaudreau, that's going to be a lot of money that I don't know what the Flyers are going to be doing with the money that they won't have in terms of trying to make changes to the rest of this roster. They need a lot more than just a retooling. They need a rebuild. And I think they've proven that over the last couple of years. Mike Sielski will help us understand that as time goes on. I talked yesterday about the play-in tournament No surprise whatsoever. The play-in tournament that we have come to know over the last couple of years is not going anywhere, and that's fine. It makes everything more interesting. It's a play-in tournament more than it is the playoffs. It's the postseason more than it is the playoffs, but it makes everything more exciting. It's made for TV, sure, but I am all for it. The other play-in tournament that is still going to be discussed, and according to Shams Charania, and just to show you this right now, this is what he put out there yesterday regarding the play-in tournament that we were speaking about at length yesterday. The NBA Board of Governors discussed today a in-season tournament with the concept of all 30 teams competing, then 8 teams entering a single elimination round to determine the winner, with the Final Four at a neutral site. Per sources, the 2023-2024 season would be doing this at the earliest. I still don't get it. Still, what's at stake here? What is on the line? What are we playing for? Well, it looks like they have a couple more years to figure that one out. Still doesn't make any sense to me, the in-season tournament. Just dumb. Let's start it off today by really getting into the Philadelphia Phillies and the loss they took yesterday. It was a tough one. Jarius Familia in the 6th inning yesterday allowed the game-winning RBI double. Played it a run to make it a 4-3 ball game in favor of the Toronto Blue Jays, and that was pretty much it. Barrios was incredible on the mound, striking out 13 Phillies batters. There's a number of things that went wrong for the Phillies in this game. Kyle Schwarber was robbed of what would have been an extra base hit in center field. Great play by the Blue Jays on that. Not much you can do. It's just a great defensive play. Yes, it would have been nice to have a better lineup out there. Yes, it would have been nice to have Alec Boehm, but he's injured. We'll see when he can come back from the dislocated finger. When he was asked about it after yesterday's game, Rob Thompson went out there, and Topper said that they're still waiting to see how long he is going to miss, how much time he is going to miss. I would assume it's going to take him through the All-Star break at least to get that finger healed, pop it back into place, put some ice on it, and get back out there. Maybe. I hope that would be the case, but I just don't see him bouncing back that quickly. So Matt Fierley got the start at third base yesterday, and your favorite Odubel Herrera was in center field yesterday. That's how they decided to work it out. Hopefully Moniak gets a couple more of those reps as time goes on. Hey, Odubel, you know what he had yesterday? He had an infield RBI single. So, hey, good for him. But as far as this game went, it came down to the bullpen. It came down to yet another bullpen game. Rob Thompson was asked about it, about how he's trying to shuffle things with multiple bullpen games in just a couple of days here, given the circumstances, by not having certain guys available, like Aaron Nola, and having to shuffle the deck a little bit in St. Louis, and now having to do the same type of thing in Toronto. For the people that just want to take the avenue of, it doesn't affect the team, they got other guys, they've shuffled things ahead of time to prepare themselves for not having Aaron Nola, not having Kyle Gibson. Yeah, there's ripple effects to everything. And I thought what we saw yesterday was a ripple effect. And then going forward, we're going to see even more ripples as you have one more game here with Toronto, and then you got 3 in Miami. There's going to be a fallout here. Rob Thompson said after yesterday's game that he's not worried about that fallout. He's not worried about that. But I can chalk that up easily to what is he going to say? Yeah, I've burned all these guys because I don't have my starting pitchers available as I thought I would. Yeah, no, he's not going to say that. In fact, yesterday he took the exact opposite approach. After the game, Rob Thompson was asked about losing a 1-run ball game without having Alec Boehm, without having JT Realmuto in the lineup. And I thought Rob Thompson, give him credit for this. If you want to talk about players, manager, and keeping a good atmosphere in that clubhouse, no matter what turmoil you might be facing, Rob Thompson, I thought answered this question perfectly. Here's what he said about. Well, I'll let the reporter ask the question. Take a listen.
I feel like in a close game like this, you really couldn't notice not having Realmuto and Boehm. You lose by a run like that.
We've lost by a run with those guys, So I'm proud of that group out there. They worked hard. They battled, Fearling hustling down the line on the strike 3. The ball that Springer caught in center field kind of hurt our momentum a little bit, but Stubby had a great game. Stott swinging the bat very well. Odubel hit that ball in the gap that Zimmer made a nice catch on. So those guys that are here, they played hard and they battled and they gave us a chance to win.
There we go. I give him a lot of credit. That's the exact way you should answer that question if you're Rob Thompson. That's the exact way you should answer that question. You're not going to call guys out and talk about how you don't have guys available to you. You don't have guys vaccinated, and you're going to get in that whole conversation again. I thought he handled it as good as a manager could handle it. And by the way, there was nothing more Canadian about how mind-blowing is it. There's never been a Canadian manager managing in Canada. And here comes Rob Thompson, first Canadian-born manager to manage in Canada. I think that's mind-blowing to me. That's never happened before. When Tom McCarthy said it the other night, I was like, wait, that's never happened? Really? Apparently that's where we're at. It's never happened. And how it's the most Canadian thing ever that after the game when they asked him about it, he was like, oh, yeah, you know. That was it. There's no like exclamation point. He said he acknowledged that it's special, but that was it. He didn't go into it after that any further. But this team has to do something about Jeurys Familia. And I know you're going to get forced into situations like this if you're going to have bullpen games. And I know when you're watching Jeurys Familia in this game, you're watching him come out there in the sixth inning, rather in the fifth, and then in the sixth he gets into trouble. But he just looked like a guy that was just, again, not ready to go. I don't know what it is about him. The Phillies still feel like they can get a lot of usage out of him, and they just weren't able to. I give a lot of credit to Appel, who went out there and just was great for 3 innings. And after the game, when Rob Thompson was asked about the bullpen and the job they did, he mentioned everybody except Jeurys Familia. Later, when he was teed up to talk about Familia, he was like, oh, yeah, he's pitched well. It was like, yeah, I don't know about that. So the Phillies continue to think they can still get a lot of usage out of him as the time goes on. There's been other guys that I feel like have been a little bit more consistent, like Brad Hand. There's been other guys that have been a little bit more consistent. Connor Brogdon, when he's not hurt, has been a guy that can be very reliable in that bullpen as well. But these are guys that the Phillies are just trying to get back in the regular rotation of the bullpen and having make them regular appearances as time goes on. But yesterday, definitely a disappointing game for the Phillies. Most disappointing is the fact that they lose another game in the wild card, so now they are down in the wild card race to the St. Louis Cardinals, who snapped the LA Dodgers 7-game win streak yesterday, by the way. So that's how it went down yesterday for the Phillies. One of the things I'm going to be looking forward to today is I want to see if you actually have Mickey Moniak in center field. And I know I've said this a lot, but I can't remember a time where I've ever had to yell at a franchise to use a number 1 overall pick. Usually that's the guy they're making excuses for. And with Mickey Moniak, he's got to beg and plead to get on the baseball diamond. And that's just the way the Phillies have it going right now, unfortunately. So we'll see how they play this game tonight. Same time, 7:05 start time in Canada. Let's talk about this Donovan Mitchell thing. First, he was available. Then he wasn't available. And then per sources from Adrian Wojnarowski and Shams Charania, Donovan Mitchell's available again. Other rival teams say that the Utah Jazz are now interested in trading Donovan Mitchell. He'll be 26 years old when the season starts. He averaged 25.9 points per game last year. He shoots about 9 to 10 threes a game, and he'll shoot about 20 field goals a game. That's the definition of a volume shooter. And I like Donovan Mitchell. And in retrospect, Ben Simmons has made me really regret any support I gave Ben Simmons for winning the Rookie of the Year award the year he was up against Donovan Mitchell. The year Donovan Mitchell wore the hoodie that said rookie and then the definition on it, if you remember. Yeah, Donovan Mitchell, you are the real rookie for that season. Let me just applaud you for that. Let me rescind any comment I made to the contrary in support of Ben Simmons and say, Donovan Mitchell, you're the Rookie of the Year that year. But while I'm talking about him, I would love to see him in a Sixers uniform, and I know the numbers are great. And I think he could adapt to playing with Joel Embiid, and I think he could adapt to playing with a more offensively dominant center than he has ever played for. Rudy Gobert, Defensive Player of the Year many times over, no longer there, obviously. Said going to Minnesota, he's there to bring them a championship. Good luck to you there, Rudy. But when it comes to Donovan Mitchell in the Sixers uniform right now, it would be a huge adjustment for him to get away from that volume scoring, that volume shooting, and also controlling the ball as much as he does, by the way, with Utah. I love the numbers. I just don't think it's a great fit in Philadelphia. My knee-jerk reaction to him being available again yesterday when that story came out, was this. Wow. If he's only 25 now, 26 when the season starts, and he's scoring 25, 26 points per game, is that not exactly what I want from Tyrese Maxey in this upcoming year? And I think as most people will acknowledge, along with first, yes, how much they love Tyrese Maxey, and I love him too. As much as people will acknowledge that, are they being honest with themselves and thinking that he is going to take the same size leap forward that he did from last year, or excuse me, from 2 years ago to this past season? Because that's going to be really hard to do because he had so much more room for growth. He had so much more room to go from a bench player to a starter. That's a huge opportunity to go from starter to possibly all-star level play, at least all-star caliber play. That's going to be very difficult for Tyrese Maxey to do. And I love Tyrese Maxey. I got all the confidence in the world that he's going to be an all-star one day in the NBA. I just don't know if that leap is next year. I hope it is. So numbers-wise, you look at it and you go, wow, Donovan Mitchell, you want Tyrese Maxey, you want that guy that's going to come in here and without question be that second scorer right behind Joel Embiid and competing for maybe even the team lead in points per game. But when you think about it, you've had Rudy Gobert as your number 2 scorer for the last couple of years. You're having a guy in Donovan Mitchell score 25, 26 points per game, and the next guy is scoring 15. That ain't going to be the case on the 76ers. That's going to be Joel Embiid with a guy like Donovan Mitchell, maybe 28 to 30 points a game, and then Donovan Mitchell right there at 25, 26 points per game. But with all the shots that he's going to be taking, maybe Joel Embiid's taking a hit, maybe Donovan Mitchell's taking more of a hit, maybe he is playing more of the facilitator that he would be here in Philadelphia than he would be out there in Utah. I think it's too much of a shoehorn move to make. After considering all that I just laid out in front of you, I feel like it would just be shoehorning him in to this team. And I think it would be too much getting away from what you have already built in Philadelphia, which is everything around Joel Embiid. If Maxey can take that step forward, not even that huge step forward where he's scoring 25, 26 points per game, anything like that, just to give it a number. But if Maxey can take a little bit of a step forward and from game 1 of the season be as good as he was in the second half of last season, then I think this team is going to be okay. Because that's what they're banking this whole offseason on. Yeah, get some toughness with PJ Tucker, improve the bench. That's exactly what we needed. And they've done that. And maybe Paul Reed gets better as a backup center to Joel Embiid. But as this season goes on, I need to see that improvement exponentially as time goes on. Yeah, it seems like trading for Donovan Mitchell, and make no mistake about it, it's Tyrese Maxey, that's Tobias Harris, that's Matisse Thybulle. That's a bit of a change to this team. As much as it looks like on paper and maybe in playing 2K, it's a perfect fit, and it's perfect to guarantee the expedited growth of that player in a lineup. But in instance, saying from Tyrese Maxey might take another year to get to that level again and be that perfect fit with Joel Embiid because that's all he has known in his career. Waiting for Tyrese Maxey to take that leap as opposed to grabbing Donovan Mitchell right now and inserting him in this lineup looks good on paper. But the problem I have is when you talk about that volume shooting and you talk about him being the focal point of an offense, I don't know if he can make that transition still now in the prime of his career. I actually have more confidence that James Harden can be that transition, can go through that transition a lot faster than a guy like Donovan Mitchell can, because James Harden's 33 years old. And James Harden has, I think, no other choice but to find a way to take his game to a different level, to a different space. And that is the facilitator, that's the point guard, and that's the guy setting up Tyrese Maxey and, of course, Joel Embiid as well. I don't know if Donovan Mitchell can make that change right now. It feels like a shoehorn move. It feels like one of those things that, oh, wow, okay, you take those points per game, and that's sexy. But then it's how he gets those points and what you're taking away from what's already been built here in Philadelphia. Looking at the numbers, yeah, it's hard to pass up on a guy that's already scored 25 to 26 points per game. That's pretty damn good. But when you think about how this team is built and constructed right now, I don't think Donovan Mitchell is that perfect fit here in Philadelphia. Age-wise, scoring-wise, it looks great. But I think you're offsetting the apple cart a little bit more than you need to. So I'm willing to do what the Sixers are most likely going to do, which is sit and wait for a second, because there's no way. Like, here's the thing. If you tell me Donovan Mitchell's on this team, Okay, cool. But that means that Tyrese Maxey's not on this team anymore. There's no way. It's not a Tobias Harris for Donovan Mitchell trade. That's not going down. So, in conclusion, I don't think this trade's happening. And the Sixers certainly aren't going to be giving up Tyrese Maxey for Donovan Mitchell. And I don't think the Sixers want to give up Tyrese Maxey for anybody, really, in the NBA right now. But when it comes to the perfect fit, when it comes to waiting to see if a guy can take another big step forward, maybe not that major step forward, I certainly think Tyrese Maxey can take that step forward and have his game evolve to the point of making this team much more of a contender than what they were last year, considering the other additions they've made as well, whether that be PJ Tucker, whether that be DeAnthony Melton coming off the bench. I think overall this team has improved. And if Matisse Thybulle is on this team again next year, that's a pretty damn good defensive player you still have coming off the bench. I know he left a lot to be desired in the playoffs for a multitude of reasons. I think he was certainly shook, given the reaction to his vaccination status and his availability in the playoffs. He didn't look like the same guy when he was available in Philadelphia, that's for sure. Maybe a whole offseason, put that behind him, will make him the player that we saw him play really for the vast majority of last year, at least on the defensive end of things. I still don't think that big move is coming. I think the Sixers, as we've talked about before with some other NBA people, I don't think the Sixers are going to be making any huge overhaul for any other huge name player between now and the start of the season. When the season starts, we'll see where things end up. But whatever move they decide to make, I certainly hope it's one that doesn't happen at the deadline and happens much more earlier in the season than that. The Jimmy Butler type of deal. That was, a month into the season, whatever that was? Yeah, they had time to adjust. They had time to get to know each other. So we'll look at that. Spider. Very nice, PJ. Very nice. Coming up in a second, Mike Sielski will help us understand exactly what the hell the Flyers are doing, and at least give his take on everything, and some great chocolate conversation. You won't want to miss that. Yeah. Let me tell you about Destination Retirement, destinationretirement.com. Mike Seibert is a retirement income certified professional at Destination Retirement LLC and a partner of 1847 Financial and an advisor for Eagles, Sixers, and Phillies fans only. Maybe next year the Flyers. When it comes to long-term savings, why are you giving up the current enjoyment of your income? The answer is have income streams in retirement. So it only makes sense then to understand how retirement income streams work so that you can direct savings in ways that give you the highest income when you retire. Think of it like climbing a mountain. Is the objective just get to the top of the mountain, or is the objective to get to the top of the mountain and then safely back down the mountain? Going up the mountain is your accumulation phase. Going down the mountain is your distribution phase. These are the two different phases of your financial life, and each should be addressed separately. This month, let's talk about college planning. We all know that college is expensive. Have you ever thought about how it will affect your retirement? Let Mike show you an efficient way to help you pay for your kids' college education and still retire on your own terms. Your first step is to avoid starting your growth cycle over by depleting accounts like 529s for big expenses like college. You don't want to lose your position on your growth cycle and have to start over. You can't get that time back. Instead, set yourself up with the ability to use vehicles that you can take money out of without starting your growth cycle over again. Find out how your annual retirement savings can help your college savings, and how your college savings can help your annual retirement savings. Mike will set up your own portable retirement analyzer. Then use the software to help you navigate through the different phases of your financial life. For questions or to set up a meeting with Mike, you can email him at gobirds@1847financial.com. That's gobirds@1847financial.com. Or you can call his office at 484-275-6035. That's 484-275-6035. And as always, you can visit his website at destinationretirement.com. Go Birds, and let's go Phillies. How about Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers, the other corner of 8th and Walnut, right there on Jewelers Row? For over 40 years, Steven Singer has been in the love business in Philadelphia, and recently he has given you the perfect price guarantee. Everyone that walks in to the other corner of 8th and Walnut, they get the perfect price guarantee. Now, what's that? Well, I'll tell you one thing. It spares you from the, I left my coupon at home. I don't have a promo code. Oh, did I get the sale? The sales every day at Steven Singer Jewelers, because other jewelers like to mark things way up just to mark it down a little bit in front of you, make it feel like you won something. But in reality, at Steven Singer, you already won just by choosing the perfect price. Every day at Steven Singer Jewelers, you don't have to feel like the pressure of haggling and negotiating and there's a person next to me getting a better deal than I am. No, everyone's getting the same deal, the perfect price guarantee at Steven Singer Jewelers. Also, if you're looking to get engaged, Ready for Love diamond engagement rings standing by at the ready, and a real jewelry expert will walk you through all the rest of their beautiful, dazzling diamond inventory. So do what I do what I tell my friends and family to do. Go to Steven Singer Jewelers. One place, one price, the perfect price. Online at IHateStevenSinger.com. Always fast and free shipping at IHateStevenSinger.com. Steven Singer Jewelers, the other corner of 8th and Walnut. Without further ado, let's jump on the Rothman Orthopedics guest line and talk to a good friend of the program back from Switzerland. Mike Sielski joins us on the Rothman Orthopedics guest line. Right now, the Rothman Orthopedics guest line, columnist extraordinaire for Inquirer.com. And also, he wrote this little book that you might have heard of, The Rise, following Kobe Bryant and the pursuit of immortality. My man, Mike Sielski, joins us right now. What's going on, Mike?
Mark, how are you, pal? It's good to be with you.
It's great. It's great to have you back on the show. I know you were just traveling abroad quite a bit. Is it true you toured a chocolate factory in Switzerland?
That is absolutely true. My wife lived in Switzerland for 9 years when she was a kid, and we went back for a week with our kids and her parents, and we went to the Lindt Chocolate Factory, Lindt. You've probably seen the chocolate in your local supermarkets. I can tell you, you take a tour of the factory, and it is the only tour I've ever taken where I ended it 5 pounds heavier than when I started it.
I highly recommend the Heineken beer tour in Amsterdam.
Yeah, that's the other one. Yeah, the Yingling Brewing Company is now a close second to this one in my experiences of tours.
My only, other than Hershey, obviously, my only experience with the touring chocolate factory was the Perugina chocolate in Italy, and they knew I was with a group from Pennsylvania. They knew I was from Pennsylvania, and they literally said, this guy came in, big, burly Italian fella, and I think he was joking, but in a very intimidating manner said, "You people from Pennsylvania, don't you tell Mr. Hershey our secrets."
Oh,
and I was
geez.
like, oh, okay, some chocolate, please. Anyway, I'm glad you had a great time with the family, man. That sounds
Thanks.
awesome. I was enjoying my day. I was having this great time, and then I stumble across this article, Mr. Sielski. Inquirer.com. You wrote this piece, Johnny Gaudreau is great. Can he save the Flyers? Well, he's not that great, essentially. And I read the piece, and it's one of those things, Mike, that I think about, and I want Johnny Gaudreau to be here. I want somebody to be here other than John Tortorella that's more of a win now type of player. I just don't think, and especially after reading your article, the Flyers are in that type of position to really sign anybody that is in the win now category.
Yeah, that's kind of how I come down on this, Mark. Nothing against Johnny Gaudreau. He's an incredible player. Just had 115 points, a career high this past season for the Flames. But as I said in the column, he'd have to have 315 points next season for the Flyers, and the season after that, and the season after that, for them to make this signing worthwhile. They're just not anywhere close to being competitive enough for a championship, for a Stanley Cup, for a signing like this to make sense. There are steps you have to take if you are a franchise in the National Hockey League, especially in an age, and I keep saying this to Flyers fans, of a salary cap. There are steps you have to take to get to be great. And the Flyers seemingly refuse to take those steps. They keep trying to retool when what they need to do is once and for all, take a step back, take a few years, and accumulate draft picks and try to accumulate talent. Nobody likes to use the word tanking, but the way to get good in the NHL is to be bad for a long time. The Pittsburgh Penguins were bad for a while and ended up with Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin. The Colorado Avalanche made the playoffs 3 times in 11 years, and that led to them getting the whole slew of superstar players they have now who just led them to the Stanley Cup. Gone are the days where the Flyers are going to have an owner such as Ed Snyder who can sign the big-name free agent who's out there every single year, and the Flyers can just outspend all the other teams in the NHL. They have been a less than mediocre team since the league instituted its salary cap in 2005, and they repeatedly show that they are not interested in taking the steps a franchise needs to take to sustain success in a salary cap era.
With that being said, do you think that they do go out there and get Johnny Gaudreau?
I'd say it's about 50-50. As we talk right now, they've already bought out Oskar Lindblom to create some cap space. The big move I think they're going to have to make would be to get James Van Riemsdyk's salary off the books one way or another. The problem with that, and one of the things that I point out in the column, is that unless another team in the league decides to be really, really generous with the Flyers, Van Riemsdyk is making so much money that if another team is going to take him off the Flyers' hands, the Flyers are probably going to have to kick in some prospects or some draft capital in some kind of trade. And that defeats the whole purpose of what they ought to be doing. You're weakening the organization and the franchise as a whole by giving up these prospects and these picks in order to get Johnny Gaudreau, who's about to turn 29. It's not like he's going to, you're going to sign him to 6, 7, 8-year contract at $9 to $10 million a year under the cap. And to what end? Like, you don't have enough talent as it is, and you're going to give up this draft capital and these prospects in all likelihood to get him? It doesn't make any sense. They're making moves as if they're desperate, whether it's Chuck Fletcher desperate to keep his job, whether it's Dave Scott, the chairman of Comcast Spectacor, desperate to get fannies back in the seats in the Wells Fargo Center. And they are just not willing, it seems to me, to do the hard, tough, slow, deliberate things that you need to do to build a team in the modern NHL.
Is their goal to make us happy at all in this offseason? Because you mentioned Oskar Lindblom, who people love here in this city, and not to mention he's a pretty good hockey player too. People forget about that because of what a hero he's been off the ice, but on the ice, he's a pretty damn good hockey player. And then they go out there and they trade some picks, 3 to be exact, for Anthony DeAngelo. And he's not exactly someone that a lot of people like to cozy up next to due to his track record. He says he's a reformed man, more or less. And they could have gone out there and got a younger star for obviously better picks into DeBrincat, for instance, from the Blackhawks, and they opted not to do that. So the basic question I want to ask you right now, Mike Sielski, is what the hell are the Flyers doing?
I don't know. They are framing it as retooling, but they don't seem to have much of a plan. And to be quite honest, I don't think they've had much of a plan, as I alluded to earlier, since the NHL instituted its salary cap during the 2004-2005 lockout. Quick anecdote. I remember talking to Bob Clark back when he was still the general manager. They had the press conference. The lockout had ended. There's Clarkey and Ken Hitchcock. They're coming out of the lockout. They got the league has a salary cap for the first time. And Clark talked about, I've been consulting with Joe Banner with the Eagles. We're going to figure this thing out. Well, guess what? About a year later, Clark was resigning as general manager. The Flyers were firing Ken Hitchcock, and they were about to embark. They were in the middle of, I should say, maybe the worst season in their history until this past season. They have never figured the cap out. And it's gotten only worse lately because they've had this muddled approach of they're not quite breaking it all down. They're not quite going for it. They haven't been able to draft well over the last 20 years. Now they're trying to fix and plug up holes in the roster with guys like Tony DeAngelo. And as you said, they're giving up draft picks for this. Look, I think there are a number of fans out there who just want to see a competitive team, who will be happy if the Flyers compete for a playoff spot and maybe you get a couple of playoff games at the Wells Fargo Center. But to me, that is not the proper way to go about trying to build a team that is going to be consistently good. And as long as they keep, using these stopgap measures, you're going to take a step forward and then a step back, and then another step back and maybe a half step forward, which is what we've seen for the better part of the last 10 to 15 years. I'm
hungry for some much better hockey. Make sure you guys check out this article on Inquirer.com right now by Mike Sielski, and you can see all the stuff that we're talking about right there and read it for yourself. Let me switch gears because I know you're a man for all season, Mike. What is the difference between Topper, Rob Thompson, and Joe Girardi? What is the difference between these two managers, and why are the Phillies having more success now under Rob Thompson?
I think it's a couple different factors, Rob. Number one, I think it's timing. I'm not saying that's the biggest factor, but it is a factor. Their schedule lightened up a little bit right around the time they fired Girardi. That helped. You could make the argument that some of the guys in the lineup, guys like Kyle Schwarber in particular, were always going to hit at some point, Rhys Hoskins in particular lately. And so the fact that those guys are hitting better has helped. Personally, this is my big takeaway from replacing Joe Girardi with Rob Thompson, is that atmosphere matters. That a Major League Baseball manager's primary job now is to create an atmosphere for a particular kind of club so that that club can succeed. Larry Bowa was mismatched in 2003 and 2004 with the team the Phillies had back then. Veteran laden, Bo's a very intense guy, had everybody walking on eggshells. Wrong kind of demeanor and atmosphere for that kind of team. Charlie Manuel, on the other hand, was perfect for that era of the Phillies when they win the 5 straight division championships in the World Series, because he's got a clubhouse full of guys in Jimmy Rollins and Chase Utley and Ryan Howard and some other guys who were tone setters. And Charlie didn't have to have a heavy hand with those guys. I think Girardi, from what I understand and talking to people around the team who I trust, the atmosphere just was not conducive to this team performing as well as it possibly could. I saw a little bit of that with Girardi in New York with the Yankees, where you just felt like if you handed this guy a lump of coal at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on the day of a game, by 10 o'clock that night, he would have squeezed it into a diamond. He was that tense. And, I don't think he loosened up at all during his time with the Phillies. And I think Thompson probably creates a better atmosphere for these guys to thrive.
Mm-hmm. It certainly seems like that. We had Garrett Stubbs on a couple of weeks ago, and he was just singing Topper's praises and only calling him Topper. So I feel like we can all call him Topper now. But
okay.
Switch gears again. I want to go over to the basketball scene. James Harden, greatest teammate ever, turning down $15 million to help this team win now. What do we think about James Harden right about now?
I don't know if he's the greatest teammate ever. I give him credit for realistically evaluating his options and his state in the NBA right now. I wrote this when the Sixers acquired Harden, Marc, that he had to make this work because Daryl Morey respects him and appreciates him more than any other executive in the NBA. So the idea that Harden was going to have it any better anywhere else in the aftermath of being with the Sixers than he would with the Sixers was just completely, it wasn't reality. Nobody else was going to sign him for more money. No other team was going to trade for him unless he was at bargain basement prices. The analogy I would use if you're a movie fan is he was like Richard Gere in An Officer and a Gentleman. I got nowhere else to go. Okay. that was James Harden. And so to me, he has no choice but to take this pay cut and to kind of bend to what the Sixers need and want him to be, which is almost like a point guard, basically. He's not the guy who's going to ISO you to death and score 40 points any night. He's not that guy anymore. And so he's going to take less money and he's going to be a quasi point guard. And the Sixers have to see if he can help them extract more and more from Joel Embiid and Tobias Harris and Tyrese Maxey.
All right. So in the vein of Tyrese Maxey then, can Tyrese Maxey step up and be even more of that second scorer behind Joel Embiid, where you have James Harden more as that point guard facilitator, and Tyrese Maxey takes a big step forward in terms of points per game, maybe closer to something to 23, 25 points per game, something like that?
I think he can do it, yes. I mean, I think we forget that he's 21 sometimes. Not that he's 21 sometimes. I think we forget sometimes that he's 21. That made it sound like sometimes he's 21, sometimes he's 41. No, but he's on the right track. Everybody understands what a terrific kid he is, what a great attitude he has, how hard he works. They've got a gem in Tyrese Maxey. And so is he going to take that next major step forward this season? I don't know how great the step will be, but I think he will improve. They have to hope that's what's happening here. They have to hope that PJ Tucker gives them toughness and defense and can hit some corner threes because they're in a situation where they have to play the hand that they've dealt themselves.
Two more for you. I got to ask something about football here, and it's Jalen Hurts, because I'm a little nervous here. And it really has nothing to do with Jalen Hurts as of right now. It's more so the reaction to Jalen Hurts. We're not even at training camp, Mike. We're 6 practices in, OTAs in, 2 of which I believe media were actually allowed in to witness some of it. And already we're critiquing this guy over the hill. And it's driving me bonkers already. And like I said, it's not even training camp. It's not even joint practices. It's not even preseason, which I still doubt he'll play in. It's not even week 1. Are we already going overboard with our assessment of Jalen Hurts?
No, we're not. He's the most important player on the roster. and this comes with the territory. And I think you're referring to the report by Derek Gunn, for instance, on Jacob Media about Hurts not practicing well one day. Look,
Right.
Gunner's as trusted as anybody who's ever covered the Eagles. If he says that's what's going on inside that building, I believe it totally and completely. The question is, how much do we make out of this? And the fact is that Jalen Hurts is under the microscope this season as much as any player in the NFL. The Eagles did everything they possibly could to improve the team around him. On paper, they have. He is the big X factor. He and Jonathan Gannon, I would suggest, as the defensive coordinator. So there's going to be scrutiny. He's got to deal with it. It's great that his teammates rallied to his defense. I saw what A.J. Brown tweeted and kind of poking fun at Gunner. And I see all the Eagles fans who don't want to hear this right now. Get used to it. This is what it's like playing quarterback in the NFL. This is in particular what it's like playing quarterback in Philadelphia. And if Jalen Hurts can handle it, great. The Eagles are going to have a terrific season. And if he can't, or if he's not good enough, then the Eagles are going to move on. Yeah. And that's just the way it is. And anybody who tells you otherwise, I think, is lying to you.
I agree, my friend. And finally, Kyle Schwarber, National League leader in home runs, agreed to play, or rather bat in the home run derby, participate in the home run derby. I have the Bobby Abreu syndrome, where all of a sudden he goes on a big tear and then he's terrible the second half of the season because he loses his swing. Are you at all concerned about that happening to Kyle Schwarber participating in the home run derby?
No, I am not, because the Bobby Abreu perception that you are talking about was canceled out the following season when Ryan Howard participated in the home run derby and went on and had an incredible season. It didn't mess his swing up at all. If anything, he started pulling the ball more often and became an even greater threat. So I am not worried about Kyle Schwarber in the home run derby. Whatever he's drinking, eating, rubbing on himself to get him to hit all these home runs, he should keep doing it because he's the big reason to watch the Phillies right now.
You're absolutely right. And wow, this is something here. Mike Sielski, more optimistic than me. Wow. This is something. No, I'm kidding.
I'm supposed to be the hard-bitten cynic realist here.
Gee, put your pom-poms down, Sielski. God. Anyway. No, and by the way,
cracker, sis, boom, bah. Kyle Schwarber, rah, rah, rah.
Oh, man, I'll be using that for a long time. That's
God.
We're going to cut that, and we're going to use a lot of that. By the way, you're doing a great job. I hear you on with Glenn every now and again there on WIP. You're doing a great job, brother. And obviously, if you're not reading Mike Sielski, what are you doing, sports fans? You got to be reading Mike Sielski. And, of course, reading his book as well, The Rise. You can find out all things about Kobe Bryant and his pursuit of immortality. Mike, I'll be over soon and get some chocolate, hopefully. So that's, we can have some fun.
Hey, you bring the beer, I'll bring the chocolate. Sounds like a party.
Mike Sielski, Inquirer.com, joining us right here on the Rothman Orthopedics guest line. Thanks, Mike. What's going on? And Mike Sielski is a real character. He's a real character. And yes, I saw in the chat. Was it Mally or Real Time? Did he just call me Rob? I couldn't call him on it because I know I just asked him about Rob Thompson. The inflection was odd when he said it, so I think he did. Yeah, and I'm telling you right now, those chocolates, if you haven't had them Johns, wow. I'm telling you right now, my dad would go over to Switzerland on business. No, my dad's not a hitman. And he would bring back these like bags of this chocolate that was life-changing. The best chocolate I've ever had. And folks, if you ever are in Amsterdam, I'm looking at you, Mally. If you're ever in Amsterdam, you have to go to the Holland beer tour. You have to take the tour of the Heineken brewery because that was incredible. Long story short, they get you hammered. It's not like you just walk around like, oh, look, the history of Heineken. I will just, not to ruin the surprise, but I will tell you, there's bars set up throughout the tour, throughout the museum, okay, and the brewery. And when you get your ticket, they give you these 3 wooden coins, and you put a coin down at the first bar, you put a coin down at the second bar, put a coin down at the third bar, and it's not just they give you one beer like in the previous others. By then, it's like an actual bar, and everyone's partying, everyone's having a great time. You're in Amsterdam. Do I need to say more? And by then they're like, hey, have another one. I don't have any more coins. Ah! They give you another one. It's the most amazing tour ever. Oh, it was such a great time. Anyway, I very much recommend that. Yeah. Good times. Thanks to Mike Sielski for jumping on. Always great to talk to him. Great dude. Let me tell you about the people that bring us our guests each and every day. That's Rothman Orthopedics. When you have an orthopedic issue, you need an orthopedic partner, an orthopedic practice that understands what you're going through. You need someone who eats, sleeps, and breathes orthopedics. You need an exceptionally specialized Rothman Orthopedics physician. They not only specialize in orthopedics, but each of their physicians only focuses in on one area of the body, which means you can have the confidence to get past the pain and be what you were. Visit them, one of their 30-plus locations in Pennsylvania and New Jersey, including 4 orthopedic-only urgent cares. Learn more at RothmanOrtho.com. That's RothmanOrtho.com. Rothman Orthopedics, the official orthopedic partner of your Phillies, Eagles, and Sixers. That's RothmanOrtho.com. Gentlemen, you strive for the gold, right? Well, how about this? How about go platinum? That's right. With the incredible Platinum Package 4.0 from Manscaped. You want to look good everywhere, right? You want to be well kept? Well, hey, you got to use Manscaped. That's the way to do it. Manscaped, ladies and gentlemen, now offering the Platinum Package 4.0. That includes the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, all with skin-safe technology that helps reduce the risk of nicks so you can manscape with confidence and comfort. Plus, ultra premium body wash, 2-in-1 shampoo, conditioner, deodorant, crop preserver, anti-chafing ball deodorant, crop reviver, that's the one that always gets me, crop reviver ball spray toner, anti-chafing boxers, and the Shed travel bag to hold all the goods that you'll be using to take care of your goods from Manscaped. Manscaped is a leader in below-the-waist grooming. Now you can trust them with the whole shebang. Join the 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping when you use promo code Farzy. That's promo code Farzy for 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com for their absolutely incredible Platinum Package 4.0 from Manscaped. Let me tell you about Freestone Farm CBD. You like CBD? You use CBD? Well, how about Freestone Farm CBD, ladies and gentlemen? You can also use promo code Farzy. That's right, promo code Farzy at FreestoneFarmCBD.com for 20% off at checkout. What do they got? Well, you can see their amazing brand new strain menu that is absolutely incredible. You have to check it out with strains like their insane tropical tasting Bayox that clocks in at a chart-topping 24.1%, and Super CBD, which is half Hindu, Kush, and 21%. The genetics of these guys, it just doesn't get any better. They also grow all their premium hemp flower in the Garden State with all organic inputs and IPM. There's absolutely nothing synthetic from farm to jar. And after harvest, they carefully preserve all plant compounds with a perfect 3-month cure. Ooh, like a nice soprasat. Just one look or smell is enough to let you know it's CBD done right. So here's what you do. If you're looking to take a more natural approach to everything you put in your body, go to FreestoneFarmCBD.com. Use promo code Farzy for 20% off at checkout. That's promo code Farzy at 20% off checkout. What's this? Another new sponsor of the Farzy Show? Ladies and gentlemen, guys, it's all about confidence when it's time to be intimate, right? Sometimes stress, anxiety, or even a bad day can affect your performance and ruin the mood for you and your partner. Well, by now you've heard about Blue Chew. And that's why you have to go Blue Chew to the rescue. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, try Blue Chew free right now when you use promo code Farzy at checkout and pay just $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code Farzy, all one word, to receive your first month free. Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in chewable form and at a fraction of the cost. Blue Chew's tablets help men combat all forms of ED. And again, Blue Chew is an online prescription service, so there's no embarrassing trips to the doctor or embarrassing conversations at the pharmacy. Blue Chew ships right to your door in a discreet package. Here's the Blue Chew process. Sign up at BlueChew.com. Consult with one of their amazing licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. It's all done online. Also, Blue Chew's licensed medical providers will work you to find the right ingredient and strength for your prescription. Don't like swallowing pills? Well, no problem there. Blue Chew's tablets are chewable, so it's not just a clever name. Blue Chew's tablets are also made in the good old US of A, and they prepare and ship direct, so it's cheaper than a pharmacy. Once again, here's the special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew free when you use promo code Farzy and at checkout and just pay $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code Farzy, all one word, to receive your first month free at BlueChew.com. How about PHL Sports Station, Philadelphia Sports Station, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsStation.com. Let's jump into the chat check. Can't wait to see what you guys have to say today. First of all, let me check the poll. What do we got for the poll today? Would you get Donovan Mitchell? Heck yeah or nah? 53% say heck yeah. 53% say heck yeah. All right, let me get that. Da-da-dee-da-da-da. All right, April, good morning. Sielski's back. Tyvita, what's going on? Kevin, how are you? Dan Schwartz, once again, welcome back to the chat. Nally, what's going on? April, Dan, I was going to message you. Laugh out loud. I like how when we're not in the chat, we get worried about our other chatters, our chat checkers. So good to have you. Tyvita, what's going on again? April, everyone say good morning. April, Familia sucks. I concur. Mickey Diaz, what's going on? Hope everyone's shocked that Herrera couldn't get a hit when they really needed one. Yeah, me neither. Here's the thing, April, I find even when he does get a hit, even when he does get I mentioned earlier, he drove in the run. I think it was the Phillies' first run of the game. Even when he does something good, I'm like, damn it. Because that justifies him still being in the lineup, even though he's not that good. It's insane to me that Odubel Herrera is the guy taking reps away from a number 1 overall pick. Are you only going to have look, Bryce decided 2 hits yesterday, hit his 5th home run of the season. That's great. But is he going to be the only guy in your lineup that you're really trusting with as a building block guy, like a guy you're going to give all the reps to? And granted, you need somebody in the infield with Segura out, Didi Gregorius being in and out of the lineup, different guys playing third base. Are you only going to afford one guy the opportunity to show that he's major league ready? Because I'd like to at least see Mickey Moniak prove whether or not he's major league ready or not. And as I'll point it out until I'm blue in the face, Mickey Moniak has played fewer games than Bryson Stott at the major league level. And it seems like that's crazy because Bryson Stott is only around this year, and Mickey Moniak's been around really parts of 3 seasons now. But I would like to see if Mickey Moniak, in a sink or swim moment, can be a guy that can swim. Can he at least doggy paddle? I'd go for a guy that can doggy paddle over Odubel Herrera. Let me see if he can do that. Not expecting much, but should be good theater. Something other than gritty. Oh, for the Flyers, Dan, you're exactly right. Let's see. If you really want to motivate this team to play hard and go out and win, there is only one thing that would be wise. Play President Whitmore's speech from Independence Day every day. That speech does still give me chills. It is great. When he hits the, we will not go quietly. Oh, man. And then today, we celebrate our Independence Day. The guy in the crowd, real dramatic salute. Oh, man. I was ready to go. Independence Day, 1997? 98? Yeah, phenomenal picture. Phenomenal picture. Wow. Wow. Dan Schwartz. That shirt annihilates bad style. Loving it, Marc. Oh, thank you. I feel like I've worn this shirt quite a number of times. I feel like I've worn every shirt on the show a number of times. I'm one of those people. Folks, let me compare myself to Steve Jobs in one aspect, and one aspect alone. Okay, two. We're both people. The other is that the whole dress thing, I like to have a uniform. As a Catholic school kid, I never minded the uniform. Dress down days where you had to pay a quarter to feed some kid somewhere, I'm fine with that. And you wore your own clothes, I was fine. Okay, I'll do a dress down day, sure, why not? But the uniform, I never minded. I always liked the uniform. I think every school should have at least a dress code. At least a dress code. And I'll tell you why. Because I went to 3 years of public school. And 3 years of public school, I always felt bad. And I'll say it because she's not in the market as a school I went to in York County when we lived out there briefly when I was a kid. I always felt bad for this one girl, Tammy. And she wore a new dress to school every day. I swear to goodness. I'm talking about this like second grade. She wore a new dress to school every day. And the girl next to her, this girl, Heather, did not. I'll just say that. And like, I just felt like that put two people together. And I always felt bad for Heather not because she ever mentioned it, but because I could see it on her face. Like, I think dress codes in school are a great idea. I think they can help with safety as well, by the way. So I am pro dress code. Not necessarily uniform, but at least a dress code. And I just like having a uniform. I have my summer and my winter uniforms. Like, it's basically, well, I don't wear shorts. So it's all either, some form of jeans or khakis or golf pants. Golf pants have saved the people like me. They don't like wearing shorts. I don't have pretty legs like the other girls. I like to just have a go-to. So on this show, I just have like a go-to uniform. And all my shirts are hanging up outside the studio. And that's just, hey, what do I feel like today? This is the one I got. Farsy's shirt makes me want to do XY graph math problems. Wow. Man, those, yeah. I was never good at math to begin with, but those kind of ruined me as well. Mally, real time. I don't know. Marc's open shirt is going to distract me from the graph. Mally, I always appreciate you commenting on my buttons unbuttoned. Wow. Did y'all know that Chuck Norris basically stole Sielski's whole life? I'm always up for good Chuck Norris jokes. Mike Sielski looks like he just got kidnapped, and this is the ransom video. Bark twice if you're in Milwaukee. April, why does Sielski look like proof of life video? For the people on the podcast, Mike Sielski appeared to be calling from a basement somewhere, and it may not be to announce his ransom. I don't know. I got nothing. Marco and Bonkers, we got to sit through a Sielski video. You guys. April, I hope it doesn't jack up Kyle Schwarber's swing. I worry about that. And here's what I'll say in rebuttal to Sielski's rebuttal to my question, or answer to my question about Kyle Schwarber possibly messing up a swing like Bobby Abreu, this, that, and the other. Ryan Howard was a much better home run hitter than Bobby Abreu ever was. Bobby Abreu was a better hitter overall, no question. But as a home run hitter, I had a lot more confidence in Ryan Howard bouncing back than I did Bobby Abreu. Bugs Buddy reference. Jim Grassmeter, what's up? Welcome to the chat. Marc's pop would bring back chocolate, right? You mean that edible chocolate? Yes, the edible chocolate. The edible chocolate. Not the edibles, the edible chocolate. Because chocolate is made to be consumed, therefore edible. Man, you need to try to do some of these reads. Mally, weed and sex pill sponsors. Marc has made it big time. You damn right we have, ladies and gentlemen. Trey combined Manscaped and Blue Chew together. Mind-blowing. Trey is a genius. He still is a genius. Love that man. Needs to be a Jack sponsorship. Oh, man. Cheers to that. Cheers to that. The wedding I was at over the weekend up in New York, we were in, I guess technically it was Tarrytown. I don't know. Yeah, they had Jack Daniels behind the bar. And it was two people behind the bar. And then it was a long line, as one would assume. It was probably, I'd say, like 75 to 100 people. So not like a huge wedding. But the line was pretty long. And all of a sudden, I'm like fourth from the bar. And this little lady came up to me. She walked out from behind the bar. I don't know if she wasn't serving appetizers. She wasn't serving drink. Oh, I guess she started serving drinks, but she just came around to me and she goes, "Sir, what can I get you?" I'm like, "What?" Like, you don't expect that. someone to walk out from the bar and come to you and say, "Sir, and I was like, I'll take that Jack Daniels right there. And I got a drink like before people in front of me did. It was a little weird, but I wasn't complaining. My cousin turned around and goes, "Hey, man, how'd you get that?" And I go, the drink fairy over there just came and visited me, and she totally passed you up. Sorry, gluggity, gluggity, glug, and walked away. I swore I heard Benny screaming in the back of that video. Where is Ben Timmons? We miss him. Real time, good to have you back in, everybody. Nice to see you. Did I miss anybody? I wanted to get... Oh, Dan Schwartz wrote a parody of the President Whitmore speech from Independence Day. Today we fight for freedom, not for tyranny, oppression, or persecution, but from annihilation. No one wants to be annihilated other than those at Frankfurt Ave Bar on a Saturday night. At a Frankfurt Avenue bar. Joey M's still there? Is Joey M still there? Is that the name of the bar? I used to meet a bunch of my college. I think I've told you guys before. A bunch of my friends in college were all from Northeast kids. So I had a lot of Mayfair diner experiences at 2 a.m. I think Joey M's was the place down from ShopRite, down the street from ShopRite. Yeah, I think that's right. Anyway, thanks to everybody in the chat. You guys are awesome as per usual. Let's get into our morning rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars, SkyMotorcars.com. Zach Wheeler gets the start for the Phillies tonight, 7:05 start time. He'll go up against Ross Stripling of the Toronto Blue Jays. Wheeler, 2.46 ERA, is 8-4 on the season. 104 strikeouts in 95 innings of work. Stripling is 4-3 with a 3.34 ERA. Right-handed pitcher going for Toronto today. Hopefully the Phillies will be able to snap now a 3-game losing streak. Maybe we'll see Kyle Schwarber get on the board as well and hit a bomb or two for the Phillies. That's the show today, everybody. Appreciate you. My thanks to Mike Sielski for jumping on, talking all things Philadelphia sports, not just the Flyers, but all things Philadelphia sports. I'm going to say at this point, Johnny Gaudreau, not a Flyer. And I'm going to say at this point, Donovan Mitchell, not a 76er. Hate to burst that bubble for most people. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Jim Hyden produced the program, did a phenomenal job. This is a Buzz Sports Entertainment production. My name is Marc Farzetta. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Let's go, Phillies. Get off the schneid. Talk to you tomorrow. See ya.